Coming up on today's episode, there's news on several potential Royal Rumble returns, all with differing degrees of likelihood, and another WWE Championship is getting renamed, and there's some backstage gossip surrounding it.
Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk news. I'm El Fakador Laurie Blake. Now, the Royal Rumble is always one of the most wonderful times of the year, and yeah, that was kind of a deliberate jab at Christmas because the Rumble is better than Christmas, although weirdly the Rumble has less fighting than my family Christmas. The Blakes hate each other. And with this excitement comes rumour and speculation, with surprises and returns sure to happen at every single turn. So hold on to your hats, because there's been several returns potentially leaked. Now, the first return we might see come Sunday is none other than Santino Marella. Mike Johnson on PW Insider Elite is reporting that he is confirmed with several WWE sources that Marella has been penciled in for the show in Houston. What's most interesting about Marella, however, is that he could enter the men's match or the women's Rumble match. Because remember when he won that Miss WrestleMania 25 Diva Battle Royal at WrestleMania 25? Yeah, that was really bad. Well, yeah, it was really bad. He's still not the worst WWE man to have won a women's thing. Isn't that right, James? Allegedly. Now, Santino could be making a return to our screens considering Mania 25 took place in Houston, and they're back in Houston again on Sunday. But hopefully it's not in the women's match. Hopefully we're more likely to see a Cobra versus Lesnar standoff. Can you imagine Brock selling the Cobra? Can you imagine Brock selling for anyone? I can't. But when you're talking about WWE returns, it's not long before CM Punk's name gets brought up in the conversation, is it? Because you're normally talking to us and we bring it up quite a lot. And while it's seemingly not all that likely that the voice of the voiceless will actually come back to the ring on Sunday, especially since that Twitter guy Dan made CM Punk withdraw from the number 28 spot. Come on, Dan, you ruined it for everyone. There's now a scenario in which it seems that Punk would accept a return, because he was appearing on the Kevin in the Mornings with Ali and Jensen podcast. That is a lot of names. That is so many names of your podcast. CM Punk was presented on the show, though, with the idea of a scenario that if he was offered $5.5 million, would he return to do the Rumble? His response was simply, I'm sold. CM Punk's sellout return confirmed. I mean, in all honesty, would Vince McMahon actually be willing to part with that volume of money for a one-off appearance? I mean, the ball's in Vince's court at this point, so if Punk doesn't actually return on Sunday, we can all just blame Vince for not offering him enough money. Blame Vince is my motto. Now, there's been also some very interesting shifts in the betting odds surrounding Sunday's show as well. While the favourites remain the same for the big matches, some of the other contenders have been shifted around, with some frankly quite wild cards being treated as viable winners. Now, the favourites for both Rumbles remain Roman Reigns and Shayna Baszler respectively, and in the men's Rumble match, the next few top betting odds are Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Cain Velasquez, then CM Punk and Edge. CM Punk and Edge returns confirmed. Over on the women's side, the next few top picks after the Submission Magician are Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Ronda Rousey, and then Rhea Ripley. Now, I'm not really sure why Rhea would enter the Rumble or even bother to win it, unless she's going to drop her title to Toni Storm at Worlds Collide, but hey, that's always a possibility, isn't it? But even those aren't the only rumours surrounding the Women's Royal Rumble, as there's even more top-secret returns planned for that match, which frankly isn't really surprising considering there's like 5 announced participants in the match. There's only like 4 more women on the roster, so, you know, there'll be more on that next. But first, let's jump into a very quick announcement about our merch, because we've taken all of your feedback on board, and we are now proud to announce that all of our t-shirts on our store are now just £19. That means you get £1 change from a £20 note, and you can buy a Mars bar or something. That's also $25 in the US. They're still 100% organic cotton, so why not head on over to WrestleTalkMerch.com and what's that? It's a brand new t-shirt with Big One written on it. I don't mind if I do. I mean, I got it for free. Or how about this Creative Has Nothing For You t-shirt? It's a banger. Plus, all of our previous lines of merch can be found on the site, so go and buy some. The link can be found in the description down below. It's good, I promise. One more thing before we hop back in, and that is to thank the Next Gen Hornet, Nick Andrews, for his support on Patreon. Thank you very much. And now back to the Rumble rumours, because that's what the Friday before the Rumble is all about. And considering it's previously mentioned that there are just 5 announced participants for the Women's Rumble match this year, being Charlotte Flair, Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss, Natalya, and Sarah Logan, there's going to be an awful lot of surprise entrants. Now, one of those returns is being reported as Nia Jax, who's been out of action since around WrestleMania 35 when she tore both of her ACLs. However, it seems like she's just about ready for return, as PW Insider reporting that she is scheduled to appear in Houston this weekend, though in what kind of capacity it's not really clear. She could just be seen in the crowd or backstage having an interview foreshadowing her return soon rather than being in the Rumble. But let's be real here. If there's 25 spots left to fill in the Rumble match, chances are it'll be there where she makes her appearance. But Jax isn't the only one in that situation, as Ruby Riott is also scheduled to appear this weekend too. Now, Riott has been out of action with a double shoulder injury since May last year, but she was seen earlier this month training at the Performance Center. However, it is worth noting that at the time it was expected she would return to action later in the year and not in time for the Rumble. So whether she's had a John Cena-style recovery and is magically fit and healthy for the Rumble, or whether she may return in the run-up to WrestleMania, remains to be seen. She has, however, lost all of her friends in the process. Now, here's something that you may have missed from NXT yesterday, and even if you clocked it, you might not have got the significance, because when Rhea Ripley made her entrance yesterday to save Toni Storm from a Bianca Belair beatdown, Mara Ranallo referred to her on commentary as NXT champion Rhea Ripley. Not a hint or a whiff of a woman in there at all. It sounds really wrong. I wrote that and it just sounds wrong. I'm sorry. Take it all back. PW Insider's Mike Johnson has confirmed with sources that there is a new internal decree within WWE that the NXT Women's Championship should just be referred to as the NXT Championship from now on, removing the gender-specific designation of the title. And this all comes after Raw Women's Champion, or should that just be Raw Champion, I guess? Becky Lynch discussed a similar move on WWE backstage and at an event in Las Vegas earlier this month, saying that they should stop referring to the women's division as such and instead present everything as just wrestling or sports entertainment. She said the best thing for the women's division right now is that we eliminate the term women's. It's now starting to hold us back. We're now going, this is a women's segment, this is a women's thing. Why do we need that division? We need people, we need characters, we need people looking for the main event spot, not the top women's spot, the top spot. So I guess changing the belt held by Rhea is seemingly the first step on that path and kind of, I guess, a test bed for how it's going to go down with the fans. There's no word also on whether the Raw or SmackDown belts will change to reflect this new designation too. But I think it's kind of a good thing to stop othering the women's division from what's been perceived as the main men's division. And Becky Lynch put it better than I ever could in a tweet, saying, I wasn't advocating for any changes in names or anything else, like I'd have that power, simply an equal volume of opportunities that are based on skill and not gender. The term women can limit openings because phrases like there's already a women's match on the show is still in wrestling's historical DNA. We're all just superstars who want our shot and places on the shows if we earn and deserve them. Bloody well said. Now, one other interesting point this raises, though, is what they will call the men's NXT Championship. Maybe they'll just call it the men's NXT Championship. Because obviously as a viewer, you know which champion they're referring to by who is on screen and they'll call out their name. But having two titles with the same name is going to make talking about the title matches on Twitter or WWE backstage programming where the people aren't there that little bit more difficult, and I'm sure that Wikipedia is going to have a literal shit about it. Now, we theorize around the office and we don't think this is the actual solution, but we thought maybe they might rename the NXT Championship something like the World Championship or the Heavyweight title. But then that kind of removes the equal billing kind of vibes that you would get by having a NXT Championship with a men's twist and an NXT Championship with a women's twist, but leaving those twists unsaid. That makes sense? I don't know. Because how do you give belts equal billing without sort of making one different from the other? Because you could have a Universal and a Universal champion, two belts exact same but they're opposites and they lock together to show this men's champion and this women's champion as sort of two halves of the same whole, but then that's incredibly heteronormative and not really cool either. It is a literal minefield. Now, somebody who won't be the NXT champion, women's or otherwise, is Jazzy Gabert. Now, the alpha female, or just the alpha under Becky Lynch's new rule, I'm finding this quite hard, can you tell? She's one of the first people to have left the NXT UK umbrella since the show started in 2018. And in an exclusive interview with Randy Andy Datson on WrestleTalk.com, she explained why. And do you know what? Don't panic, fair viewer, because there is no WWE bashing here. Because while she did say that some people could say that her debut storyline was not a good storyline, she tried to make the best of it. Now, the actual decision to leave was actually because the schedule was so light with tapings only every 4 to 6 weeks, meaning she was able to do a lot of projects outside of wrestling at home in Germany. Now, Gebert appeared on dating shows, game shows, talk shows on German television, and toured with rock star Udo Lindenberg. Yeah, I don't know either. Which is actually the real reason why she left NXT UK, to continue touring with Udo throughout 2020 and work on a reality TV show back home in Germany. So there's no great conspiracy. The walls aren't exactly crumbling in NXT UK. I guess they just need to keep people busy so they don't, get other offers and then mug them off to go on Love Island or something. By the way, you can also read that full interview and see Datson's wonderful penmanship by following a link in the description down below. One last bit of business before I go, and that is to say that we've updated Wrestle League with a fancy schmancy new form which allows you to go back through your previous predictions. You can see what other people have predicted, and the scoreboard will auto-update, meaning you now no longer have to wait around to see where you stand in the overall league. It should magically kind of happen as the shows are going on. To join in all of this predictions-based warfare, all you got to do is become a pledge hammer on Patreon at any amount, fill in the form, and magically you are in the league. Predicting against all of the other Patreons and us, you can even win a trophy. But not before I win it, because I'm so good. And it's a really good time for you to do it too, because a new season is just about to kick off with the Royal Rumble being the first show, and that's going to run all the way through to WrestleMania. So get in on the most exciting time of the year for wrestling fans, and I guess help us keep the lights on in the process. And if you want some advice on who to pick for the Rumble, we've predicted the winners and losers in this brand new style of prediction show. I warn you right now, there is lots of dildo chat. Do the like, subscribes, and all that jazz too, please. Thank you for watching. I've been El Fakador, and that was Lucha.